Hello, everyone, and welcome. On behalf of DataMotion and MTech, I want to welcome you to our webcast today, HITRUST, a practitioner's perspective. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping for everyone. Everybody will be on mute throughout the duration of the event. If you have questions, feel free to put them into the Q&A pane at any time during the event. We are going to have some time at the end for questions. I'd like to introduce you to our speakers for today. You can see them on the webcam already. I have Larry Gordon, our Managing Director of Go-to-Market from MTech, and I have Andrew McKenna here from DataMotion, their VP of Product, that's going to walk you through everything there is to know about HITRUST, at least as in respect to DataMotion. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Andrew, to go ahead and get started.
Thanks so much, Deanna. It's great to see everybody here. Thanks for taking your lunchtime to meet with us. Apologies for the green screen. Couldn't turn it off behind me. But I'm the VP of Product at DataMotion, so I look after our product delivery. What we do is we are a digital exchange platform that provides secure digital exchange and secure digital compliant back and forth communication. We're based on a microservice architecture, and this architecture really allows us to connect our users from any portal to any portal securely. We have our origins in secure email, and we've grown, of course, over the years to that overall fully connected experience. When it comes to security, the big difficulty is always, do you worry about security or do you worry about compliance? When talking about HITRUST, as well as HIPAA compliance, the security and protecting data is the utmost important thing to do. And so what we do is we simplify that process. So we worry about user experience, meeting our users where they are. And we worry about the security and the compliance. And we've balanced those two very divergent concepts together with our platform. Our platform really is our product. It has a series, it starts with our Zero Trust database, and it goes all the way up to our APIs and presentation layers, including no-code solutions, and as well as our integrations. And so we've built this platform as our product, and we try to connect everybody simply and securely to provide that secure back and forth data exchange for all of our customers.
Thanks, Andrew. I'm Larry from MTech. Andrew is my customer, and I am so pleased to work with DataMotion and have our team at MTech help his team build his product and deliver quality, HITRUST compliant applications to his customer set. So we help clients navigate their digital transformations and initiatives. We're a modest-sized global product engineering and application development shop. Small enough to be really responsive to our customers, big enough to be able to provide solutions really quickly and work closely with our customers, with our teams working with their teams. We do product engineering, we do deployments, we do also front-end marketing, automation, personalization, CRM. What's really relevant to this group, since I know a few of you, on the right-hand side, data engineering, analytics, and insights. I think about data lakehouses, data warehouses, BI for this, and where it's really relevant to HITRUST is we build infrastructure and systems to help draw compliance documents out of existing systems. So we make that compliance reporting easier for customers. We do, and very much in our core space here in the middle, digital product development and platform compliance, and we build these platforms. We are software engineers at heart and every day. So Andrew's going to take us through about 30 or so minutes on how he builds his Zero Trust platform and his HITRUST platform, and what he's done and what he's discovered and what he's implemented that we all think is kind of special and unique. So thanks a lot for spending some time with me again this afternoon, Andrew. Good to see you.
Of course, thanks, Larry. So our core is really where we started all, and that is our Zero Trust platform. Zero Trust has different connotations depending on the organization that you are talking to. It can be just row-level encryption. It can be app security, but we look at it slightly differently. DataMotion's approach to our Zero Trust platform really starts with our fully encrypted database that doesn't rely on app layer security alone and doesn't trust its operators. So we really have a trust no one and trust nothing design. And that's really how we started our organization way back when. And so this actually has helped us with our HITRUST certification, as well as our HIPAA compliance. And so our platform at its core starts with the no one can see anything view. And it really asks, I want access to this, may I please? And the system says yes or no, based on the logic and the stored procedures and the business logic layer that we have on top. So again, everything's fully encrypted, and it starts with that trust no one and trust nothing design. As far as our HITRUST certification, I really get to be the talking point to this as the head of product, but this was really an effort run by our operations and compliance department, and they're the ones who spent a lot of effort in our HITRUST certification itself. But their process really started kind of as a six-step process. It starts really reviewing the HITRUST Common Security Framework, commonly known as the CFS. And as you review that, you really see the requirements and prepare yourself to complete a readiness assessment. That readiness assessment is something that's available from tools from HITRUST. And you review your processes, your security posture and compliance posture, and confirm that you're actually somewhere close. It gives you some gaps that you have to fill, and you walk through it. Thankfully for DataMotion, since we started with our trust no one, trust nothing design, and we had very strict operation controls and procedures, and our security posture is best in breed, we were able to complete our readiness assessment relatively quickly in comparison to others. From there, if you have any gaps to fill, you begin to fill them, and then you step into the actual assessment. So you find an authorized assessor and they complete the assessment. If there's any gaps or you pass, depends on your motion there. And then, of course, you're submitted to HITRUST. But this is just the beginning, right? You get your certification, life is good, you have an awesome press release, and it's a great thing for any organization who's protecting content to have. The biggest and most important thing from my perspective, being in product and building our next evolution, is the maintenance. This is not just a one-time process. You have to conduct internal reviews. You have to conduct internal training. Your reporting systems have to be up to snuff and generating the right reports to remain HITRUST certified. So the maintenance is really where we're focused on now, of course, because we achieved our HITRUST certification. But that maintenance goes into everything we build, every employee that we hire, every partner that we bring on. All of this has to do with our maintenance process so that we can keep our certification going. So that's really the key that I want to have here is certification process itself it's not easy, it's not a walk in the park, but if you have the right security posture, you'll get there. Once you're there, maintenance is not a walk in the park, but if you have the right processes in place, you're going to keep the ball rolling there, and that maintenance is really key, including throughout the development process. Access control, MFA, failed logins, everything matters when it comes to your HITRUST certification. So about a year ago, we started working with MTech. Again, we are HIPAA compliant and HITRUST certified. And so as we looked for potential partners to help us push some of our development and QA needs forward, we talked to a lot of third-party developers. When we were talking with Larry and reviewing it, we were really in very well aligned from the beginning. And so we were able to come into a partnership to really begin to drive our roadmap forward with our compliance and security needs in mind. And so with our microservice architecture that we have in our modern design, as we were looking at what we were going to develop with our core team, as well as with our MTech team, and as the head of product, I always look at it as our team. We had to divide and conquer and figure out access control and things like that. But we were able to build 3 great pods with MTech. One focusing on QA, one focusing on full stack development, and one focusing on mobile development. And this team really helps complement our core engineers as well as our technology stack as we deliver the next evolution of DataMotion to the market. The first team that we introduced was the QA team. Before we went into partnership with DataMotion, we had a very manual QA process. We had a lot of big, long, deep regressions. We had a long wait periods after development was complete. But now with MTech and our QA team and our automation team, we're able to do a lot of, we were able to see a lot of rewards really quickly. We have some simultaneous testing going on. Our wait time for actually entering a QA cycle has decreased. As a result of that, we're delivering more products more quickly, and our customers are coming through the door. We have faster release cycles, and we're able to enhance our offerings quickly with our customers and market needs in mind. And you'll hear a bit of the market needs as we go through with some of the things that we've been able to deliver throughout the last few years. From a QA perspective, and as well as automated testing perspective, the benefits actually were surprising to me. Of course, we have faster product delivery. We have happier developers. Before we began to automate our test cases, which are now up to about 99% automated, our developers would have code QA ready, and it would sit for months. As it went into the QA cycle, QA would of course find issues and bugs, and our developers would have to context switch. And that context switch is very painful and expensive, really, from a development perspective. And so now, with a lot of the automation that we've introduced, our developers are seeing their code go through QA much more quickly. And when you have happier developers, you have more code coming out. And with more code coming out, you're delivering more products. And so our developers are seeing their code go through quickly. They don't have to context switch as much as they used to, unless the product guy comes up with another great idea. But you're able to actually see our development team has been pumping out a lot more quickly, and they're much happier as a result. The other area where I didn't expect it to come up from the impact of our automation was our customers. We did a roadmap roadshow throughout 2022 where we're talking about our next evolution and where we're going as an organization. I sat with the majority of our customers and walked through where we're going. They always came back to, actually, what's your QA process? And I was able to share some of the great things that we've done with 99% of our regression automated, and the throughput of our test cases, as well as the number of test cases, and it's in thousands that are done in an automated fashion. And I was able to share that with our customers, and that gave them confidence in addition to our certifications as well as our compliance, but our core processes have improved through this automation process. The next big block that we were able to deliver over the last year or so with our HITRUST certification in mind was integrations. A lot of software providers solve their problem and they stop. We at DataMotion really look at the end-to-end back and forth communication for all of our customers. Again, worrying about compliance, worrying about security of the content that's being exchanged, and worrying about the encryption of that data. So when I look at our customers' workflows, we have, as I look at our customers' workflows, we have the customer portals covered. We have our APIs that our customers have used, but the majority of our integrations throughout the last many years has been bespoke, meaning we have a customer who wants to bring their content from their message portal to Salesforce where their employees sit, or to Genesis, for example. And so for each of those, we would build bespoke integrations. From there, we've grown and we've built, and this was in partnership with MTech. Larry, if you don't mind jumping to the next.
Gotcha.
We built a DataMotion integration gateway. And so with our trusted partner of MTech, we're able to fill gaps that we had, and besides the automation that we talked about, we're able to actually drive forward and drive results. So we introduced our DataMotion integration gateway, which is our method to leave the bespoke integrations and have a repeatable process. So since we've begun to build these out, we have introduced integrations to Salesforce and Genesis, and these integrations are multi-layered. They start with our APIs, and they also drive into leveraging some of our other tools for full embedded experiences. So from a Genesis perspective, this one's a bit of an interesting integration, but as we're securing data from a customer portal and bringing it into the Genesis ecosystem, we're leveraging one of their message channels that was originally intended for social messaging. And social messaging, just by definition, isn't secure. And so we were able to actually deliver securely into a social channel and deliver it back to that communication back to the customer, creating an end-to-end loop. So our integrations with the integration engine that we introduced are repeatable, thankfully. They're reusable by all of our customers and really enhances our platform while keeping the security in mind. And so I've jumped the gun here on this, but this is really just that overview of the integration engine that I just discussed. Sorry.
I'll get the next slide. Here we go.
It's all good. So then jumping into another core development that we introduced last year, and this really talks about the MTech partnership as well as the DataMotion core development team. Over the last several years, everybody here knows that there was this little thing called the Great Resignation following the COVID pandemic. A lot of organizations didn't have as many developers as they had previously. Financial institutions had less developers to build tools internally. Healthcare providers had the same issue. Since we provide a platform that provides the bidirectional communication securely, and that sits on top of our APIs, we had the concept of introducing a no-code solution. Prior to introducing this last year, our customers would always write a front end pointing to our APIs, and they needed that front end development skill. And it could take a couple of months, it could take 6 months to a year for them to build that user experience. So looking at the market last year, we saw this problem coming across, and we were able to take a step back and actually introduce our no-code experience. Since we had our portals, since we had our front ends, and our APIs, we were able to build a web component that can be dropped anywhere, thus resulting in our customers having a faster time to market and not having to build the development teams or resources around them to deliver a customer portal, for example. Now, this no-code experience was an idea at the end of the first quarter, middle of the second quarter of 2022. We delivered this to the market in the beginning of the summer last year. This is kind of one of the fastest developments that we've seen. And the reason that this was able to go so quickly is our core engineers were able to focus on it. The MTech team was able to support us in pushing it through. And we created basically a new entire line of business in a couple of months based on market reaction. So this...
Sorry about that, Andrew.
No worries, no worries. This no-code solution allowed us to introduce new functionality to our users, allow them faster time to market, and we were able to deliver this quickly and securely, really balancing that scale that I started with when I talked about DataMotion itself. We try to balance security and compliance with ease of use. In addition to our integrations and our QA efforts and our no-code solution, we also deliver mobile applications. Now, that no-code solution is fully responsive, meaning it can be sized up and down, and it has a very good mobile view. Historically, we've had a installed mobile app that was very business B2C type of look and feel, and that was really responding with the time that we launched it. We've been working with MTech on that historic solution, but as we introduced our no-code solution, we had kind of an aha moment. And we took a step back with our mobile team and said, listen, we really want to actually consume our no-code within a mobile app. We want to deliver it to iOS, to Android specifically for now, and really show this front end is fully responsive, allow our customers to download it, use it, or really embed themselves. And so this project started and really focused on the premise of, we have our no-code solution, we have a mobile app, we should really merge the two. And so it became very strategic and consulting from the view that we took, and we went really from design all the way through implementation quite quickly. And we were able to, with our partners at MTech, we were able to take this concept and bring it to market quite quickly. We have since introduced a new mobile application that consumes our no-code experience. And that mobile application is written on Flutter, a technology we at DataMotion had never used historically. It's an open source framework developed by Google, and it allows developers to build applications quickly and use a single code base. And so when we saw that thesis coming from our mobile team at MTech, it made us all quite happy. Our roadmap for mobile brought iOS towards the end of 23 to middle of 24. Excuse me, not iOS, Android to be delivered at the end of 23 or middle of 24. I'm happy to say that since we went down the Flutter route, we're able to deliver iOS as well as Android within months, and it's coming out actually towards the end of this month. And so we were able to take a step back on an entire development cycle. We were able to introduce a brand new product, get it through the entire cycle quickly on a new technology stack that we had not reviewed previously. So in balancing security and compliance, we have to focus on, again, protecting our customers' data. For us, it started with our trust no one, trust nothing design. From our trust no one, trust nothing design, we at DataMotion have a lot of policies and procedures in place to make sure that we're truly protecting the content, whether it be login reports that we review on a very frequent basis, to security and compliance trainings that we run frequently as well. We focus on that to make sure that our core is safe. Now, as we build new products, as we build new offerings, we always keep that in mind. As we go into partnerships, we review how that partnership affects anything with HITRUST, with our HIPAA compliance, or any of the other certifications that we have been able to obtain here at DataMotion. With that, we then balance our user experience with the security. And we find ways that are modern and creative to get content securely delivered from one location to another, whether it be to Genesis or Salesforce, or to an end portal that's hosting our no-code solution. And we allow businesses to really streamline these processes that have historically been bespoke. Now, with all of this in mind, and with our relationship, we've been able to enhance our customer relationships themselves, especially highlighted with the QA efforts that I discussed before. We're able to enter new lines of business, specifically with our mobile application, as well as our integrations. We're able to enhance our reputation and push new products out to new markets, as well as new products to our existing customer segments. And we're able to brand and work together in sessions like this. So from our partnership perspective, we see a lot of positives, and it really supports and holds on to our certifications and our HITRUST procedure. We at DataMotion, again, balance the security, compliance, and usability, and our partners at MTech allow us to do that as well.
Thank you, Andrew. Very well done. That brings us to the Q&A portion of our presentation, and I think people are putting their questions into the chat, and we might already have a couple of questions.
Yeah, just to remind everybody, if you have questions around the topics or anything that you want to pick Andrew's brain on, now's your time. I do have a few that came in as the slides were moving through. One was around Salesforce, the integration there. Can you walk through your Salesforce integration process? And is there anything specific, any gotchas that you came across when you were doing that?
Absolutely. So our Salesforce integration started as an API to case workflow. So Salesforce has a ton of APIs available where you can write to or pull content from Salesforce itself. And so the first integration we did, because we have many now, started really with that API to case type of flow. And so as we're delivering that, there's a lot with customization that organizations have within Salesforce and the flexibility that we need to actually handle that. While they have their standards, some organizations organize their CRM differently. And so we have to be nimble enough to push the content to the right location and do so securely. So as soon as we started that integration itself and the API to case type of workflow, we noticed a lot of opportunity. And so we introduced our second integration, which is basically a Lightning app consuming our no-code solution. And our no-code solution really allows users to send and receive content securely embedded into whatever platform they're in. And so as soon as we saw that embedded experience in reality, we saw a lot of other great features and functions we could grab from Salesforce. So from a CRM perspective, whether you're supporting a customer success type of workflow or a sales type of workflow, you really should be securing anything you're sending out that's a quote, a contract, and things like that. And we noticed that, well, Salesforce has a file exchange, right? And so the majority of this content's already stored in Salesforce. So even with the embedded experience, if we don't have a way to connect to that, we would then have to create a bespoke workflow or a break class workflow, as I like to call it. So users using that embedded application without enhancing it further would have had to download something and then upload it, for example. And so we're able to see, okay, great. Well, we have this wonderful resource available to us. Let's build that flow into this application. And so the gotcha really was how powerful Salesforce is and how customizable it is. And then what else can you grab and should you be grabbing to answer the entire end-to-end workflow? And so as we developed that process and released that process, it became a bit iterative, but in a very good way, where we're able to answer the base case quite quickly, add in the next use case and add in the next use case just based on the documentation. The biggest hurdle really is how different organizations either roll out Salesforce or customize certain fields. But being able to be nimble enough to respond to that need really was the key in that implementation.
Okay, thank you. What was the most challenging aspect of your journey to HITRUST compliance? That's a big question.
So there's a lot. It's a huge question, and from review with our compliance and operations team, we were in a very good place to start. So I want to say that out loud, and this is not too common for people who seek this certification. We had a lot of the control and security and compliance posture that HITRUST certification requires already in place before we began the process. Even on the readiness assessment, we scored pretty close to complete without doing much different. But that's not to say there wasn't a lot of work involved. And so our team spent a lot of time and a lot of effort gathering the right content, formatting the right content, and making sure that we answered every single question, and made sure that our policies, number one, existed, and number two, were followed. And so we constantly put ourselves under that scrutiny before HITRUST, and we continue to do so afterwards. And we're constantly evolving our policies, our procedures, and our posture to ensure that we're ready for the next certification, as well as the maintenance of it. So it was a long process. Our operations and compliance team spent countless hours preparing for and going through the process itself. The result of that, though, just from a product and development perspective, is we have the right policies and procedures in place so that we can keep our maintenance going, if you will, and keep driving the trust that we have in the market.
Okay, so you had another question came in around the costs. Seems to be quite expensive, both hard and soft costs when it comes to getting that certification. What was your experience with that? And if you could provide any insight in terms of, the expense to getting there. I mean, obviously your primary business is your platform, so it makes sense. But, in terms of the cost, that's one of the key things with HITRUST is how costly is it going to be for somebody looking to do it?
Yes, and so I'm going to focus more on the soft costs. The HITRUST has a list of authorized assessors. There's services out there that provide end-to-end support. From our soft cost perspective, here was our balance, right? We already had a strong operations and compliance posture, as well as a strong team supporting that, right? Because we started kind of where we started with that zero trust platform and the encryption, as well as our HIPAA compliance itself. Keeping our data secure and making sure we had the policies, procedures in place was very important. But it was hours upon hours of work for our operations and compliance team to handle while they were not doing other things. So the soft cost is really where I saw impact, in addition to the standard assessment. But with the right planning and the right prioritization, we were able to achieve it pretty quickly. So the cost, I would say it's a misnomer. It's ridiculously expensive, but it's if you have the right policies in place and you don't have to change too much, that those hard costs and soft costs really go down. So we were well positioned when we started, thankfully, and so we were able to push through.
Okay.
With really soft costs and prioritization being the focus.
Okay. A question came in on the question pane. I have a couple of others, but this one seems pretty critical because it's around outsourced vendors and platforms. So the question is, how are you able to get outsourced vendors and platforms to comply with the higher bar, right, that HITRUST provides, the expectations there, like your SaaS vendors, like a BI platform or a data warehouse platform, for secondary use of the data environment, like if you're building an analytics solution. Shared responsibility model gets quite complicated when trying to certify the environment handling EPHI and its data flow. Robert, I hope I answered that to the best of my ability. So Andrew, any insights you can provide with, because you're obviously pulling in additional vendors, or maybe you're not, but it would be interesting to hear your insight on that.
We build 99.99999% of what we do. And so that mitigates the majority of the risk there. However, I think talking about our relationship with MTech is really where this is. I think our relationship with MTech is the best area to jump into. With our access control, as well as with our access control specifically, as well as how we manage our platform, we're able to limit anyone's control to the system itself, and that's really our starting point. And so when we're outsourcing for build, our developers have access to what they're working on. And not the core code, for example. So our integration gateway, just based on our architecture, is a microservice. That microservice does not have access to the core, period. And so when we were able to introduce that gateway itself, it's really leveraging our existing platform and our existing technology to grab and push content. Everything that's going over that is fully encrypted, both in motion as well as at rest, although we're not storing in dig. And so we're able to mitigate that based on how we control access to our system itself. As far as data warehouse, as far as other vendors like that, we actually try to avoid. outsourcing there so that we can fully protect and remain compliant itself. So that's how we have been doing it. From a HIPAA perspective, of course, we carry our BAA itself, and anyone who does business with us does sign that. But it really starts with how we protect our core and what we give anyone outside access to. Again, our system starts with the "may I please," and the answer a lot of times is no.
Okay. You mentioned HIPAA. We had an individual, we're a hospital, and wondering just your experience at DataMotion, how does that apply to them in terms of how can you talk about HITRUST and how it relates to in a healthcare space?
Yes. So I'm going to start with a little bit of DataMotion history for a second, just to set context for the question. But we were one of the founding members of HITRUST, which is really the closed ecosystem that hospitals communicate with. ECR. Electronic health systems communicate with each other. So it's really that closed ecosystem, and we do act as a HISP for just to put that out there. And so from that perspective, HITRUST is really the next step up in compliance. HIPAA is a compliance issue, whereas HITRUST is a certification issue. And so that's kind of where they're different. And so we have been HIPAA compliant really since HIPAA was created, and we only recently achieved our HITRUST certification itself. So from the data flow perspective, again, we're protecting the content, protecting the data. We don't expect to see anyone's data itself. We can't. And so just relating to the outsourcing question, I would love to run certain analytics. We can't, and we don't, because we don't inspect the packages themselves. We really are that transport layer for the HIPAA related data itself.
Okay, thank you. One question: who was involved in deciding about whether or not you're going to move to HITRUST from a certification perspective?
So from our organization, it was our compliance team, it was our operations team, it was our executive team. In other organizations, and in other conversations in the industry, I'm seeing it's really a CISO and CIO conversation that drives into directors of engineering. Sometimes you bring product along as well, because if they ask for something outlandish, well, that could become an issue. So it's really compliance. It's really technology working together to drive this wonderful adventure.
Okay. Let me see. Is there any more coming through, folks? I think that's it. I appreciate everybody taking the opportunity to plug in your questions. I think there were some really good ones there. I guess for my own, if you don't mind, when you were evaluating partners, since I'm on the marketing team, when you were evaluating partners, what was the reasons? Like, how did you choose? I mean, obviously the HITRUST is critical, right? But how did you choose the partner to move forward with on those types of things? What are you looking for in the company that you're getting resources from and support?
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with, I've used a lot of organizations historically with positives and negatives. Our approach and my approach really starts with, I'm pulling in a partner, and that partner is part of my team. I've had organizations that I've worked with before that don't act like that, right? And so it really started with actually Larry. We had some good conversations, and we kind of felt that team effort. And so MTech was willing to and open to having us vet people who are coming to work with us as well, which is important so that we know who we're working with before we give them access to anything. MTech was willing to and able to allow everyone coming into our project to go through our compliance training. Not every vendor will do that, and so those two are really my first set of questions. Does it feel like it's going to be a partnership, and can we follow the rules that we have to follow? And both of those were yeses. And so then we began to vet and review some of the people MTech had available, and having conversations with those folks. And we really saw some good synergies there. And again, having Larry close by as well has been very helpful too. But MTech as a whole really was responsive to our needs, and open to going through our compliance process. And surprisingly, that's not a standard case.
And I appreciate you answering my question.
Of course.
Larry, is there anything else you want to add before we finish the call? No more questions have come through.
Just thanks to Andrew and the MTech team for, thanks to Andrew and the DataMotion team for the time to do this, and the insights, and the MTech team for pulling it off. It's a lot of work. I just love hearing the customers talk and customers' questions, so I'm really appreciative too. And I think you all know where to get us if you have any offline questions, and we're happy to do it, and hope everyone has a great afternoon.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Andrew, Larry. Everyone have a great rest of your day, and you have 15 minutes. You can get some of your lunch back today. So have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank
Steve.
you, everybody.
Bye.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe, and check out the MTech Minute playlist for more videos. Turn on the bell icon and get notified of our new videos.